Hey, what's up? This is Albus Dumbledore here. No matter who you are, no matter where you live, what you're doing, chances are the humble t-shirt is a staple part of your wardrobe. And because we're here on this channel, we like to focus on the more performance side of clothing, so we're going to be comparing two different performance t-shirts. On one side, a Uniqlo Dry Ex t-shirt, which comes in at about £13, maybe $15, and on the other side, the Arc'teryx Veilance frame tee, which retails in the UK at around £125, which is something like $150, or 10 times the price of the Uniqlo Dry Ex one. We're going to find out how they differ and in what situations you might want to wear one over the other. Now, to preface this video, to an extent I am comparing apples to oranges here, because although they're both billed as performance t-shirts, clothing which is better than your average cotton stuff, they are intended for different things and they come up quite differently. It's not like the Uniqlo Dry Ex t-shirt is like the cheap equivalent of an Arc'teryx frame tee. This is more a comparison of two different types of performance t-shirt, whilst answering the question, what do you actually get if you spend $150 on one of these? With that in mind, let's begin. And first off, we'll talk about the Uniqlo Dry Ex tee. This is made of nylon, so it's an artificial construction using this mesh knit, which is pretty lightweight and it's quite breathable as well. So if you're wearing this in warmer conditions, something like this is going to keep you cool. And to go alongside that, not only have you got this mesh material, but in key places like under the arms, there's some perforations as well, which is going to help give you an even better level of ventilation. You'll notice the cut of this, like a lot of Uniqlo stuff, is a tiny little bit on the generous size. So this is my regular size, which is a medium, and you'll find that it has a little bit of breathing room. It's not an oversized fit, but it's straight, it's structured, and it feels pretty comfortable. The material does have a little bit of stretch to it as well, which means if you're moving around a lot, then you're going to find this pretty comfortable and it's going to move with you quite nicely. Those factors combined means that this is pretty good if you're doing a lot of moving around, exercising maybe in warmer weather. I often wear this for about a 30-minute run, and I can confirm that it does a pretty good job of that. And when it is warm out, I would actually rather wear one of these rather than one of the slightly thicker Nike options, which are also quite a bit more expensive. This seems like high praise, and it does do quite a lot for that $15 price, and it looks pretty good doing it too. I also have no issues with the construction or the quality of this. Uniqlo in general is pretty good in terms of garment quality, and I don't think this is any exception here. I'm sure I'll be able to get multi-season wear out of this, no problem. But before you go replacing your wardrobe with 100 of these, know that they're not exactly perfect. Firstly, the construction and the look of this is very much an athletic looking garment. So it's going to look much better with sporting or athleisure stuff rather than more casual outfits. So if you're someone that tends to wear jeans quite a lot, for example, pairing it with this t-shirt is just not going to look 100% right. That perforation detailing, for example, is very like, I'm going out doing some sporting stuff. And yeah, that's fine for casual scenarios, for very casual looks, but depending on your use case, you might actually end up finding that a little bit restrictive. The other major downside of this t-shirt also lies in its synthetic construction, in that these do tend to smell quite quickly. Now, admittedly, Uniqlo do state on their website that this comes with anti-odor and antimicrobial properties. That's probably a very small amount of silver thread that's weaved into this garment. And it's certainly better than the older Dry Ex t-shirts. I've got one from a couple of seasons ago, and that really can get pretty smelly. But even this new one, after a day of wear, it is actually noticeably kind of stinky, and you want to take it off. You certainly can't go wearing this for more than one day, particularly in warmer weather. So this is definitely better suited to shorter periods of wear. I wouldn't want to take this traveling, for example, where you need to make full use of everything you've got, wear items multiple times, etc. Because once you take this off, you're not going to want to put it on again. So for wearing with sporting or athleisure gear, particularly in warmer weather, this t-shirt is going to do a good job though, and I do get on pretty well with this t-shirt. But what about something like this, the Arc'teryx frame tee that comes in at 10 times the price? Is it really possible to justify something like a $150 expense just for one t-shirt? This performance t-shirt is an interesting comparison to the Dry Ex one because it differs in pretty much every way. And the first thing you'll probably notice is the material of this. It's not synthetic, it's made with merino wool. And that might sound strange, it might seem quite unusual for a t-shirt to be made of that, but this is a much finer grade of merino than what you would normally find. This comes in at something like 17.5 microns. which is very thin, very lightweight as well. It also has a much nicer feeling against the skin than what you would expect from wool. You can still feel the texture at points, but it's not scratchy like a lot of wool would be, and it also has a feeling of luxury about it. You're not really going to get a construction like this, a material like this, from a cheap t-shirt. Simply because it wouldn't really be worth the cost. This material is more expensive than cotton. Don't get me wrong, it is possible to get merino t-shirts cheaper than this one. Outdoor gear brands, for example, are a good one there, but fast fashion brands, they're not really going to touch this stuff. That said, as a result of the fine grade of merino, this is a fairly thin feeling t-shirt. So despite the cost, it doesn't feel like this is the most durable thing out there. That's not to say that this is flimsy or poorly constructed by any means, it's certainly not that, but it is something that I would want to take care of. I would be a little bit concerned. Like, this is something that could rip if it got caught on something, for example. The natural fiber construction of this though, and being merino specifically, absolutely solves the smell issue of the Dry Ex t-shirt. This can happily be worn all day, and afterwards it's not really going to smell. And even after multiple wears, yeah, obviously things are going to smell over time, but it's more of a musk than it is a sharp, sweaty smell than what you would get with a Dry Ex t-shirt. This is absolutely the winner if we're talking long-term, all-day wear. The cut of this, as you can probably see, is noticeably different to the Uniqlo t-shirt as well. This is a very slim cut, it kind of tapers in a bit at the waist, so this is a very flattering silhouette. Certainly if you're a slimmer build, this is going to make you look pretty good. It's got quite a clear structure to it as well, and that combined with the merino wool mean that this is probably one of the smartest t-shirts that you can wear, which gives it quite a lot of versatility and wearability in lots of different scenarios. One of my favourite ways to wear this is underneath the CP Company shirt jacket, which I think gives it a really nice blend between smart and casual, and an outfit like that is suitable for loads of different wearing scenarios. An outfit like this does a good job of accentuating slim proportions and taller builds as well, although of course you can always size up on these tees if you want a little bit of a more relaxed fit, and you are still going to get that comfort. I think the colour choices are really nice in these as well. I've got two which are in ash and loden. One of them is this kind of blue-grey colour, and there's an olive green as well. Both of those I think are not quite the sort of colours that you might find in a cheaper t-shirt, and you take the Dry Ex Tee for example, and you can only really find like those very pure, very bright colours. You've got white, you've got black, you've got like a bright red, there's a very mid-grey. Nothing really has that kind of subtlety to it that some of these t-shirts have. And I know it sounds a bit like I'm being over the top, but I do feel like these colours seem to go very nicely with lots of other things, and they just generally look very nice. Something else that you wouldn't really get with a cheaper t-shirt like the Dry Ex is the complexity of the construction of this t-shirt, and there's quite a few subtle features that you might not notice initially, or to a casual observer you might not notice at all, but do help to elevate this t-shirt over and above a more affordable or a fast fashion product. For example, the underarms are gusseted, meaning that it's easier to move around in this t-shirt compared to other slim fitting tees. You don't get the same kind of pulling sensation that you would often get with those. Also, if you take a look at the seams on this, not only are down the front they positioned in this nice V shape, which helps accentuate that taper, makes things look very flattering, but it's also moved away from some of those key high movement areas so that you don't notice the seams as much. It makes it more comfortable to wear. That'll also hopefully help with the longevity of this t-shirt, because seams are often a point of failure. Also, in terms of longevity and construction quality, in a couple of key areas, for example on the top of the shoulders, the merino material is actually doubled up. Reason for that, in areas where you're moving around a lot, you want that extra material to stop it from wearing through, that sort of thing. Particularly if you're wearing this t-shirt alongside a backpack or a messenger bag, if you've got something resting on those shoulders all the time, that would wear through the material if it was single layer construction. So by doubling it up, you're helping preserve that t-shirt, you're getting the maximum use out of it. And for one final aesthetic detail, you'll notice that the neckline is not only extremely thin, there is nothing of the collar than what you would normally find on a traditional cotton t-shirt, but it's also a little bit higher than what you would normally expect. That helps with the smart and futuristic overall look of this, and helps differentiate it from other t-shirts on the market. So it gives it a little bit of a distinctive look. And although obviously these t-shirts are incredibly plain, there are just one or two very subtle little features that will make this look a little bit different to those other things that you'll find out there on the market. So as I said, the two t-shirts in the video, the Uniqlo Dry Ex Tee and the Arc'teryx Veilance frame tee, differ in pretty much every way, and thus are best suited two different use scenarios, different use cases. Although neither of these t-shirts are perfect, with the Uniqlo tee potentially getting smelly over time, the Arc'teryx Veilance tee not only being incredibly expensive, but potentially not as durable as some other t-shirts on the market and maybe requiring a little bit of extra care when wearing. They both represent good examples of performance t-shirts and are both something that I would recommend. While the Arc'teryx Veilance frame tee might not objectively be worth 10 times the cost of the Uniqlo tee, I think it's quite clear that unlike a lot of high fashion brands that are more interested in just putting a logo on the front, that this is actually doing something to help justify that premium cost. And there are quite a lot of subtle details and features in here that do that and elevate it above your standard t-shirt. So yes, this is certainly not one for flexing how much you spent on this garment, but I do think that you're going to get a very good wearing experience, and you'll find that this is something that will fit very nicely and very naturally into your wardrobe. And that is everything I have to say about these two different performance t-shirts. Let me know down there in the comments which one is your favorite. What would you be more likely to pick up? The cheap and cheerful Uniqlo one or the premium luxury Arc'teryx Veilance tee? Or maybe you're like me and you just end up going for both. If you're not up for spending retail on these t-shirts, they can sometimes go on sale at the end of seasons at a couple of different retailers. They will go out of stock very quickly when that happens though, so you've got to have your finger on the button, you've got to be paying attention to these sales. But you might find yourself being able to get 30% off, for example, on something like this, if you're quick. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this little comparison, you want to see more stuff like this, then let me know, and of course do hit the like button, and that's everything. So thank you again for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Shout out to Dirt Hayes, really glad you enjoyed those examples. I think all 5 of them were really good, so yeah, glad to hear that you guys found that one valuable. And shout out to Rob, also very good point. If you see something you like, but maybe the fit doesn't look quite right, like military garments, for example, you can take those to a tailor, you can get those fits updated to something that's more in keeping with your style. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more stuff, there's going to be links going up at the top as always. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you should definitely consider doing so, because there's going to be loads of cool stuff coming up every week. I'm also thinking about doing some live content, doing some preparations for that. Not sure if it's going to be on Twitch or here on YouTube. Depends really on whether I want to do some like gaming content or not, or keep it kind of fashion based. But either way, that's going to be a thing. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. Catch you in the next one.